And this again is just showing you when we was talking about that glass area. Rather than have an enclosed, our dining room now is an enclosed room. It's just a room. They just use use a lot of the common space for also public space. So the trend is that you put your dining and have your dining area right in your public space, and then also a little patio out so that people could sit outside if they'd like to also. And again, they're showing they're showing fireplaces, different types of things. We still continue to work on those and the type of things that we're looking to try to have and still be able to. This is one design. Doesn't mean that's what it's going to be in there. So. And then some floor plans, and I have the boards there, and I'd be more than happy to go over with anybody who wants to look at anything. I believe we don't have these on the website because I asked Bill not to put them on because we have changed these, the designs and of the exterior and those three-dimensional views. But this, from when last week when the architects were here, we made a lot of changes. We had PT/OT in this area where you would enter, register, go to your PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and decided that it would best serve the patient if we had it down in this area. So once you were already a patient, you were coming in for subsequent treatments, you could just enter in this doorway, have a waiting area here, and go right in. So we've made some changes. We moved that whole area down to this end, and that would not be reflected in this. And I know that people look at them and have some questions at times about not being able to find something or see it. It's just we're just in the stages now. We've defined all the departments, and we're in the stages of trying to define the rooms and the layouts of those departments. So even, for example, this ER, we totally changed how this layout is going to be. But if you've ever worked on a project, you can't come in and say, well, I want it to be this way. It's easier to have somebody put something down on paper and say, I'd rather not have it like that. I'd rather have this here, this here, this here. Well, that's what we did to the architects, and we majorly changed a lot of it to help us to be able to provide care the way that we want to and what's going to be efficient and best for the patient. And then this is that bed floor that Alan was referring to. And it is a second story. You know, we've had questions and come back to us about, I thought you wanted to have a one story. Well, we thought we did too, but when you start laying everything out, well, pretty soon we found we were having these extremely long hallways again to get from one department to another, and that was something that we wanted to change. So we really like the idea of having this inpatient floor sit right on top of, right here it sits right on top of the surgery, sits right on top of here is, pharmacy is right underneath, the ER, lab and radiology. And so there's dedicated patient elevators that will take a patient right from surgery up to the floor or from the ER up to the floor. We're looking at our OB here. We now have 3 labor and delivery rooms. We're looking at having 3 again. The beauty of this design is flexibility. And one of the nice things is that we can have those 3 labor and delivery rooms. We can secure, we're going to put in several sets of doors where depending on how busy the unit is, we can still secure that area. So it'll be secure, and then as the patients, if there's not many patients, we might close the doors here. If they're busy, we'll just keep accommodating those patients and flexing them down this hallway and just close doors as we go further down. And in the other respect, if they're busier and they're not, we can use these beds to take care of the patients, and that's really what it's all about. And then this is just the lower level. So do I want to say the walkout? I said this isn't my area of expertise, but all I know is that there's windows for everything. None of it really seems to be in the basement, and the terrain really helps us to design the layout of this building so that we can have the supplies brought in, as Ellen showed you. We can have our business office, our medical records be in the lower level, but really not, deep in the basement. And then we can have this area here with that walkout dining area with a little patio. Marty, we are going to let you do this one. Finish us off.
The criteria, and I'm not going to read them to you, for the future use of this building is up there, and it's rather significant that we put it together that way. I can share with you that we think we have somebody who will exercise purchase option on the building, but the board has to give the final approval on that. I'd like to add one additional, well, I shouldn't say one additional comment, some additional comments. The burning question is, and rightly so, why can't we build in this area downtown? The board did commission an architect who is given the sole responsibility to figure out some way that we could stay downtown. And we indicated to that person they would not be receiving any future business from the hospital except if they could figure out some way to stay downtown. And they actually came back and gave us an option of building off-site. There's just so many problems trying to build down here, starting with the fact it's a 5-year project. According to them, we couldn't achieve the efficiencies and locations that we wanted to have between departments. But you might recall a slide that Alan showed you, which included the hospital, the medical office building, and parking, and that's almost 25 acres. There is no way, in my estimation, you can take 25 acres out of downtown Jamestown. You could build parking ramps. There's no question about it. My understanding is they're a couple $1 million each, so you would be investing about $6 million in concrete before you did anything. Even with that, we would need additional acreage. And let's say, for argument's sake, we needed 10 acres, which I think is about 60 homes. It could be a few more. We have no assurance that everyone in the selected area would sell their home. And so the only option that would leave would be to consider eminent domain. I have to tell you, I'm adamantly opposed to that. I don't think anybody in this room would have any interest in doing it. So as we looked at it, to take 60 homes off the tax rolls did not seem like a prudent business decision for the city or for the community, and I think we all agree that we had to eliminate eminent domain. The other interesting thing that I'd like to add also is that, and please don't go into obstetrics, because there is an alarm system that keeps going off when anybody goes down that way, but from this exit door into obstetrics is 351 feet. In the new hospital, the width or the distance would be 244 feet. The significance of that is, as one of our nurses shared with us, she put a pedometer on and she did 5 miles in one day. We need our staff to be with our patients. We don't need them to be running up and down the floors. And the way you achieve that is by making the building wider with double corridors. So at any rate, those are the two things I wanted to share.